So I'm about to do the axle flip now. So I've got her in the shed, and I've got a couple of jack stands under the back here. So the idea here is just to raise this up, and hopefully there's enough in it to. It's just started to lift the wheels off the ground now, so if I can get it up high enough, and then so the wheels are off. So I've just chopped that up with another axle stand and a milk crate there. It's not going anywhere, so it's still up on the leg as well, so you've got a bit of weight up the front here, so that'll be fine. So that'll be good to get under there. Okay, so I've got all the wheels off. I've exposed the springs and the axles there. So what I'm about to do, the gist of this is, so that is sitting on top of the spring. I'm going to push that down to the bottom of the spring. So I'm going to flip all that on its end. Okay, so this then will drop down to under here, so that'll give me that extra bit of clearance from there to there, if you get my drift. So first thing I'm going to do is just give all these threads and nuts a bit of a spray, just to loosen them up a bit. Yeah, so I've pulled all the U-bolts off and disconnected from there. Now I'll just go do, that's this side, I'll just go do the other side. Right, so I got the axle out, sitting over here on the ground. Just got one stubborn nut on the U-bolt. I have to cut it off. I think it's been damaged along the way. So yeah, so now I probably should clean these up, but I'm not going to worry about it because I'm going to be swapping these out soon. I want to go heavier duty, maybe increase up to a ton. Depends what I do with the trailer later on, so I'm not really going to worry about it. They're not too bad, just surface rust. So I didn't quite get out of doing it on the cheap, guys. I've had to cut this, but then if you have a look at that, if it's focusing okay, I mean, that's knackered. So, you know, look, you probably should always change this stuff anyway. It's been on the trailer as long as the trailer's been built. So I'll shoot through to Super Cheap and get me some new U-bolts, and you know, they can't be too expensive, 20-30 bucks. So I've flipped the axle up underneath there, and I've gone and got the new U-bolts. So just this side, just going to nip that up a bit. I'm just a little bit concerned that the thread's not going to be long enough. Well, you generally want just a full nut and a little bit more, so we'll see what we end up with. So I flipped down there, so it's probably just got a head of thread on it, so not overly impressed with that. I would have liked to have a bit more to bite into, but it is what it is. It's all I could get. So now I'll just nip this side up. So I wasn't happy with those U-bolts. So the ones at the back I've got a full head on, but the ones at the front, they were 2/3 of a head of a nut, and that's not good enough. So I've cleaned up some of the U-bolts that were on there with a wire wheel. They're okay, just I thought I'd replace them all, but I really only need to replace the one. So I've replaced the one over the back there with a new one. There's 3 of these good U-bolts here, I'll just reuse those. Yeah, so I've cleaned them up. The threads on them are fine. I've cleaned them up with a wire wheel, and you know, look, they will need to be replaced at some stage, but I'm going to be swapping this axle out for a 50mm one. It's only a 40mm, so I'll do it all then. Pretty much, you know, I've wasted a bit of cash on these U-bolts. I might pull these ones back off. I haven't really done anything to those, and take them back, at least get 20 bucks back. But we've flipped the axle on the trailer. Just a bit of a side note, whenever you're doing up these U-bolts, always nip them up evenly. Alright, so starting one corner, go across to the other corner. That way you keep everything nice and straight and even. Don't go doing that side all the way up and then trying to nip this down, because you'll end up pulling the plate around rather than just down. Alright, so thickness of the axle, which is 40mm, and the thickness of the spring, which is, and this little plate, which is probably similar to 40mm. So all up, it'd be about an 80mm lift. So I'll wind the trailer back up, and as high as she goes, so I can get those wheels on. So it's not a bad little trick, nifty little trick though. Okay guys, so here's the finished product with the axle flip. As you can see, we've got a shitload of clearance in there now. Easily fit the off-road rims and tyres in there. Maybe this area in here might be the issue, and the other thing might be the width of the guard. So I've got a bit of room in behind the tyre there, in over the back here. So we'll see what size. I'll get a tape in there and see what size and roughly what offset I can use. So that there now is like 180, and prior to me doing that it was 110. So I got 70, roughly 70mm at the axle there and on the sides, so that's about the right height. I'm liking it, just not liking the tyres. So yeah, so that's come up quite good. So a simple little mod you can do to your trailer to give yourself a bit of height and a bit of clearance. I'm not sure of the legalities of it. Is it legal? I don't know, Google it. I don't care. Next on the agenda will be, and if you have a look over here, you can see that I've got behind these tyres here, I've got the bars ready to go on top of the trailer here for the tent just there, the King's tent. That'll be another little project coming up. Also I'm going to do a spare wheel carrier sitting in here, just a couple of bars across there, weld that completely shut so it doesn't open, and just sit it in there. And yeah, and the off-road tyres, 31-inch tyres, muddies would be nice. And then yeah, just a cheap trailer, some cheap mods, you know, just to suit my needs when I go away. But I could still use that, you know, to fill it full of rubbish and stuff. Okay guys, that's it for this one.